Did you know that some of the most legendary black celebrities struggled with alcohol despite their massive success? From soulful voices to incredible athleticism, here are 50 worst celebrity black alcoholics who drank themselves to death. 1. Ray Charles. The music icon, Ray Charles is known as the Genius. He revolutionized the art forms, R&B, jazz, and soul. He won the hearts and minds of millions with What Did I Say and Georgia on My Mind. Yet, unbeknownst to the world, his darker side was his long battle with addiction to alcohol and drugs, which affected his health and relationships. His alcoholism caused severe problems throughout his life. Even though Ray Charles was successful, he could not get rid of the grip of addiction, and it played a major role in his demise at the age of 73 in 2004. 2. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, or as she was affectionately known, Lady Day, is perhaps one of history's greatest jazz and blues singers. Her voice, full of raw emotion and soul, made songs like Strange Fruit unforgettable. But Billie's life wasn't as beautiful as her voice. She turned to alcohol and drugs to cope with personal pain, including a troubled childhood and a career filled with struggles. Unfortunately, however, her alcoholism was among the main factors that shortened her life. Billie finally passed away at 44 years old in 1959 due to liver cirrhosis. 3. Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker was also called Bird. Charlie Parker, the jazz saxophonist, revolutionized jazz and paved a new way into its forever-changed landscape. His fast, complex melodies and brilliant improvisational skills influenced generations of musicians. However, his genius had come at a tremendous cost. Bird was addicted to alcohol as well as heroin, factors that contributed to his early demise. His addictions wore down his body, and before he was 34, Charlie Parker was lifeless, reportedly from some complication of his habit. 4. James Brown. James Brown is the godfather of soul, a music legend of high-energy performances and great hits like I Got You, I Feel Good, which changed everything in the music world. Still, behind the curtain, alcohol and drugs plagued James Brown, affecting his health as well as his career. Although he could remain active and influential for a long period, substance use eventually caught up with him. In his old age, he suffered from many health conditions, including those associated with the addiction. James Brown passed away in 2006 at the age of 73 years. 5. Redd Foxx. Redd Foxx was one of the most popular comedians and actors, best known for his role in the very popular sitcom Sanford and Son. He was famous for his sharp wit and ability to make people laugh, but behind the humor, he had a problem with alcoholism. His drinking gave him health problems, and he often had public scandals because of his behavior. Despite his success, Redd's alcohol abuse eventually caught up with him. He passed away from a heart attack in 1991, made worse by drinking booze for most of his years. 6. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was a legendary entertainer who could act, sing, and dance. He was perhaps one of the first major black performers to break the race barriers in Hollywood. During his career, which included decades, he managed the ups and downs, especially the struggles with alcohol in many celebrities of that age. This resulted from stress because of being famous, thus making it lead to serious health conditions. His condition rapidly began to deteriorate, and after several years he met his end because of throat cancer complications in 1990. 7. Etta James. Etta James was one of the most soulful singers in American music history. She is so famous for songs like At Last and Tell Mama, making her a Grammy winner in the hearts of fans all around the world. However, Etta also had another side of addiction. Battles with alcohol and drugs harmed her personal life and career too. Despite coming back over and over again, her body was severely affected by this for years. Etta James passed away in 2012 at the age of 73 after a long battle with leukemia. 8. Lena Horne. Lena Horne was a highly talented actress and singer who appeared in stormy weather and broke many barriers for black women in Hollywood. She was an iconic figure, both in the entertainment world and in the civil rights movement because of her beauty, grace, and powerful voice. But Lena Horne also had her struggles, including fighting alcoholism. Alcohol was a means for Lena to cope with the pressures she faced, and although she eventually overcame some of these challenges, it still affected her later years. Lena Horne passed away in 2010. 9. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was one of the greatest comedians of all time. Known for his bold, raw humor, Pryor's stand-up comedy broke down barriers and gave voice to issues of race, class, and identity. However, Pryor's life off stage was filled with personal struggles, and alcohol was a major factor. This actor, too, suffered from drug addiction, whereby he became notorious for being on fire while being a user of freebasing cocaine. Richard Pryor passed away in 2005 from multiple sclerosis. 10. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, known as the Queen of Soul, is undoubtedly one of the greatest singers the world has ever known. Her hits, Respect and Think, are anthems for generations to come. She will have her place in the annals of music history, such as the power and emotion behind her voice. Though very successful, she spent most of her life with a drinking problem. Her addiction, during her turmoil and pressures of fame, presented itself in health problems and hamstrung her career at some time. Aretha's abuse of alcohol wasn't like the other celebrities who appear on this list. It was almost known in the entertainment community, an open secret of their abuse. She passed away in 2018. 11. Freddie Hubbard. He was a key figure in the jazz world. Complex and expressive in his playing, Hubbard was among the musicians who performed with jazz legends such as Art Blakey, John Coltrane, and Miles Davis. His contribution to jazz remains celebrated to date. But Freddie's life outside of music wasn't so smooth. He had an alcohol addiction, which also affected his health and career. He started suffering in health by excessive drinking and finally passed away in 2008 due to complications that involved his addiction. 12. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway was a soul singer who, with his powerful voice and emotional performances, made him one of the most loved artists of the 1970s. Hits like A Song for You and This Christmas are timeless. However, Hathaway suffered from depression, and his reliance on alcohol for the same made it impossible for him to maintain his career and relationships. Sadly, these struggles led to his tragic demise in 1979. 13. Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters is the acknowledged father of modern Chicago blues. His work has been the inspiration for generations of rock icons, including the Rolling Stones, and many blues performers worldwide. Songs such as Hoochie Coochie Man and Manish Boy are blues classics. But Muddy Waters wasn't without his share of tribulation. He drank hard a great deal of his life, and alcohol contributed to many of his health issues. His drinking often led to poor decisions and strained relationships. Muddy Waters passed away in 1983, but his impact lives on in music. 14. Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was one of the earliest to play rock and roll. His riffs on the guitar with Johnny B. Good songs became anthems of their generation, and he is perhaps the most influential musician on this planet. Chuck Berry continued with his life struggling greatly with alcoholism, coupled with several legal issues on arrest for drug-related offenses. While he continued to perform into his later years, the toll of alcohol and his legal battles affected his health and reputation. Chuck Berry passed away in 2017. 15. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was one of the most influential soul singers in history. He captured hearts with songs like What's Going On and Sexual Healing. His smooth voice and timeless music made him an icon of the 1960s and 70s. However, behind the scenes, Marvin faced many personal struggles, including drug and alcohol abuse. His battles with addiction and depression affected his relationships and health, and it was during a time of personal turmoil that his life was tragically cut short. In 1984, Marvin Gaye was shot by his father, which led to the loss of a musical genius. 16. Tina Turner. Tina Turner is called the Queen of Rock and Roll, and her story is one of survival and strength. She was known for her energetic performance on stage and songs such as Proud Mary And what's love got to do with it? Tina Turner's relationship with Ike Turner has been documented and is notorious for the abuse she faced from him. However, during parts of her career, Tina also battled alcohol. Alcohol was involved with the trying years she lived in a toxic environment which she wanted to escape. She did eventually overcome the adversities, but it was in her life. 17. Otis Redding. Otis Redding was a soul singer whose voice and music became timelessly legendary. Hits such as Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay and Try a Little Tenderness are still widely enjoyed today by fans all over the world. However, Otis's life was tragically cut short when he passed away in a plane crash at 26 years of age in 1967. Otis Redding, on the other hand, was a talented individual who was struggling with alcoholism, which was influencing his health and personal life. He had so much potential, but fame and addiction brought him down. 18. Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith was a legendary blues singer who had a deep, powerful voice and impact on jazz and blues music. She was one of the highest-paid black entertainers in the 1920s and became a legendary star with hits like Downhearted Blues and St. Louis Blues. Tragically, Bessie's life ended in an unfortunate manner. She fought with alcohol for most of her life, which eventually took her life in a car accident in 1937. Bessie's alcohol abuse was well known, and it became part of her tragic end. 19. Billy Preston. Billy Preston, also known as the Fifth Beatle, was a very talented musician. He contributed to some of the biggest hits of the Beatles with his keyboard and organ performances on songs like Something and Let It Be. But Billy Preston's personal life was very marred by substance abuse, alcohol. His addiction to alcohol and other substances took its toll on his career and health, and though he remained a respected musician, his struggle with addiction led to his premature demise in 2006. 20. Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong was perhaps the most famous jazz musician worldwide, for his trumpet and voice are simply unforgettable. Hits like What a Wonderful World and La Vie en Rose made Louis Armstrong a household name. Despite this, Louis Armstrong struggled with alcohol throughout his life, and it affected his health as well as his relationships. Louis Armstrong lived a long life and passed away in 1971 when he was 69, but alcohol played a huge role in his life. Of course, his music still lives on, but one must not forget his efforts to battle alcohol. 21. Diana Ross. Diana Ross is a superstar known for her time with the Supremes and her successful solo career. She became famous with hits like Stop, In the Name of Love, and Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Diana Ross is often seen as a symbol of elegance and success, but like many in the entertainment industry, she has openly admitted to struggling with alcohol at certain points in her career. 22. Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson was a trailblazing actress who broke stereotypes and became an inspiration to many. She was known for her strong performances in films such as Sounder and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Early in her career, Cicely Tyson battled substance abuse, including alcohol. However, she managed to overcome this and became an advocate for healthy living and chose to remain sober for most of her old age. The story of Cicely Tyson overcoming alcohol abuse and going on to achieve enormous success in Hollywood is quite a tale of resilience. 23. Berry Gordy Jr. Berry Gordy Jr. is best known as the founder of Motown, the record label that brought forth legends including Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, and Michael Jackson. His leadership at Motown created the powerhouse that eventually helped change the sound of popular music in the 1960s and beyond. However, Gordy also had battles with alcohol throughout much of his life. 24. Clarence Carter. He has soul hits such as Slip Away and Patches. Clarence's smooth voice with great storytelling skills made him the icon of the soul genre. His personal life, however, suffered from alcoholism. Both his career and health were impacted by his drinking habits. Clarence's relationships and the steadiness of his career were undermined by alcohol. Despite his incredible talent, his struggles with alcohol reminded many that addiction could affect anyone, regardless of how successful they were.